exciting. 61 new homes. All of them affordable and all of them connected to this beautiful Brighton campus and the community of the people who have built it to be a great place. 7 of them specially chronically homeless. The mayor's initiative, we're the first ones in the city to take him up on his challenge. 7 chronically homeless elders. I know Alice has been a big proponent of that. 5, and I have to give my colleague Rima Zelfan credit for this idea, 5-unit suite for adults aging with lifelong developmental disabilities. This is something to celebrate, folks. The life expectancy used to be only 50. Now it's 70, and we need a special place that makes people welcome and supported in our larger community and part of all of what we do. So JFNCS asked us to do that, and we're going to partner them to do it. 49 sort of standard regular affordable units and 14 MRVPs, 8 Section 8s. That means 22 deep, deep affordability. And thank you to the state and the city. You know, they say, of course, it takes a village to raise a child, and that's for sure with my 3, but it also takes unbelievable amount of partners to make anything happen this day, and we are so blessed that we have the best partners ever. The city has been with us day one, all the way, DND, ISD, BPDA, the Elderly Commission, support from everyone in the mayor's office, his whole administration, and also the city councilor, because we're seeing city funds of $2.25 million in this deal. The state, unbelievable. You've got DHCD, EOEA, DDS, of course the Housing Committee and the legislature, all of them to get us the $3 million in capital, the 14 MRVP vouchers, the DDS operating support for that 5-unit suite, and of course the state low-income housing tax credit, which is bringing another $4 million in equity. Thank you, federal government. I don't know that anyone from HUD is here, but don't let anyone tell you HUD isn't wonderful. They have been phenomenal with us, and we're getting 8 of the Section 8 vouchers and the low-income housing tax credits from the federal government, Congressman, thank you, yielding $10 million in equity. We've got wonderful groups of quasis, the quasi-agencies, MHP, CDAC, Mass Housing, permanent loan in this case, but also administering some of these funds and always supporting what we need to do. Private sector, we've got Wells Fargo buying those tax credits and giving us the construction loan, and an amazing $1.25 million grant from a private foundation, the Weinberg Foundation, which makes us able to support people at an even higher level. I mentioned REMA and the partnerships with JFNCS. There's also, I think Mark Hinderley was going to come, and Hearth is going to support the seniors who are chronic elders, and I appreciate that. We've got the JCHE board. Can people raise their hand if you're on the JCHE board who are willing to take the risk and willing to push and spend the time and energy on this? And also a special guest, Jane Weissman, who is the daughter of our recently deceased Doris Lewis, who's on our board. She died at 100, never failing to care about what we do. And Jane changed her flight to be here with us today. Our neighbors have been great. The Allston Brighton CDC, the Brighton Allston Improvement Association, big supporters every step of the way. And of course, the project team, internal and external. Their names are all listed on the program. Every single one of them is a superstar and fabulous. Special call out to Mike Fish. He's here, must be here, Mike. And Delbrook for just being above and beyond in every case, and doing this beautiful work in modernizing the buildings we're in. And our internal team, I'm not going to list people's names, but let me tell you honestly the truth. If I knew the people, if I only had the privilege of walking by the people who work here on the street and saying hello, I would feel my life was rich and blessed, because they're amazing. The fact that I get to work with them every day is beyond an honor. Thank you for our team. So not only will this housing be a new front door to our Brighton campus, inviting the neighbors in, it will include attractive commercial space to fit into the neighborhood and welcome, we hope, all of our neighbors. That's part of our village center concept as part of our strategic plan, so we're happy to do that. So we have a lot to celebrate. I'm going to get right to it. To kick us off, I have the unbelievable honor of introducing Mayor Walsh, who honestly needs no introduction in this building. He spent so many times here in the last 4 years. People just adore him. Even before he was elected, he came here to meet with our seniors, no press, no other people, just to hear what people say, to hear their ideas, answer their questions. He's been a true leader in this country on affordable housing. I was very honored when he named me to his housing task force. We worked hard, and of course D&D did an amazing job at the Housing a Changing City, Boston 2030. But the mayor not only said these are good policies, the mayor said, I'm putting my money where my mouth is. And I don't know of any other mayor in the country who's actually putting city money, not just directing the federal money, but also putting city money. Thank you, city councilor, thank you, mayor. That's pretty amazing. He was also the first big city mayor to become an age-friendly city, and that was a very long and difficult commitment, and really, really fabulous. You know, you can judge a person by who they have around him. He's got Emily Shea of the Elderly Commission, who is the best in the world, amazing. Our folks love her. Sheila Dillon, what can you say about Sheila? She's a housing hero of unbelievable proportions. Lila Bernstein on the homelessness stuff. Nobody's better in the business than those folks. And just a little side, the mayor chose this morning, without the press, without any notice, just to come and spend an extra hour with our residents this morning, just so he could give them a chance to see it. They tell me every day he's the best mayor in the country, and they're right.
Thank you, Amy. I should just sit down and not say a word. You know, the reason why we're doing the age-friendly, really pushing the age-friendly stuff is because Congressman Capuano is getting to that age, and I want to make sure that he's okay, and that he ages friendly. Because I know that the people he works with, it's a difficult task every day.
You gotta get the microphone after.
I know you do. Let me just, it is a happy day today here. Let me just thank Amy first and the board of JCHE for your incredible work. I mean, I've been in this building many times, and the programs you run here, and the residents are happy. The building is spectacular. It's immaculate. I want to thank you for that. I was having a conversation this morning with Commissioner Billy Evans, who's here with us, when he talked about representing this area as a captain, and he talked about this great program as well. So I want to thank you and the board, Amy, for what you do. I also want to thank all the folks that made this happen. And when I was sitting and listening to Amy talk about thanking people, I thought to myself how complicated a project like this is. And at the end of the day, how beneficial a project is for people, particularly elderly. And we make it so complicated to get to that point. But when I looked at the list of folks, and I saw it obviously led by our Congressman, Mike Capuano, who fights every single day to make sure that the people of his district and the people of Massachusetts get what they deserve. To have a friend like him down in Washington means a great deal. To have Emily Shea and Alice Bonner, and I put them, the Commissioner of Elderly Affairs for the city and the Secretary in the state. These two ladies come to events all the time. They come and they get things done. They're on the same page. There's no line between the state and the city when it comes to our elderly. And we make sure that we move forward. So again, I want to thank them both. Sue Terry, who I've known for a long time, the work that Susan does, I know Susan's a workaholic. And if she's involved in a project, it's going to get done. And the other names on the list is the same thing. We know it's going to get done. Senator Warren's office. So that makes it special here. I want to give a special shout out to Kevin Honan, who for probably well over a decade was the chair of housing and urban development in the House of Representatives. And his fingerprint is on almost every single housing program in the Commonwealth over a decade, because he has put together at least 2 or 3 housing bond bills, and I was there in the House voting on them. And when Kevin did his bill, it was never controversial. The work was laid out, and it just happened. It just flowed through. I think they were all unanimous votes. So I want to thank you, Mr. Chairman, for your great work. We're investing in this project $2.25 million, but what we've invested in the city of Boston the last 3 years in affordable housing is around $100 million from the inclusionary development money, and now we have the Community Preservation Act. When we put a budget forward, that budget goes on to the city council. The person who receives that budget is Mark Siomo, the chairman of Ways and Means in the city council. And he works with us, and he works to make sure that programs, not just here in Austin, Brighton, get funded. He wants to make sure that senior programs and other programs around the city get funded, because we understand that he's the district city council, but he represents the entire city of Boston in his role as Ways and Means chair. So I want to thank Mark for his support and his friendship, and actually for his guidance in making sure that we get the money here, but also all the other projects do. So thank you, Mark, for what you do. I'm not going to go too long. We know the project, 61 units of housing, money from the city, money from the state, money from a lot of different places, money from philanthropic support. Thank you very much. Expansion of a vibrant historic community here. In 2014, we put out a plan, a housing plan to create 53,000 units of new housing by the year 2030. 5,000 of those units are dedicated to senior citizens. Seniors are Boston's fastest growing demographic group, and one of the most economically challenged. So when we talk about the senior plan, we actually are looking at the issues around economy for people as well. It's something that's important. Seniors are also the people who built our city. We owe them a debt of gratitude, and we have a lot to learn from them. I get frustrated when I hear this talk of attacking immigrants, because many of our seniors are immigrants, like my parents, who came to this country and actually helped build this country. Built the churches, built the synagogues, built the streets, built the waterways, did all of the hard work that other people wouldn't do. So it's important for us as we continue to look at our seniors, we want to make sure that we continue to work with them, but also learn from them. This morning, as Amy said, I did spend some time in the dining room with seniors, with the seniors who live in this building, some are in this room. And people were talking about issues of what's going on in national politics. That was the biggest kind of theme of the day. And I told them that regardless of what happens in Washington, and I did warn a little bit about the concerns about the Affordable Care Act, which Mike Capone is fighting for. But I talked about in Massachusetts, your elected officials, we're going to rally around to make sure that we cut the pain that potentially could happen out of Washington, or out of the state, or out of the city. We need to do better than that, we will. This housing plan that we're talking about today represents an opportunity to continue to build on our plan of housing for senior citizens. I want to thank Amy and her team for the great work she's done. One of the things that I'm honored for is the 7 set-aside units for chronically homeless elders. We took on, when I say we collectively, we took on a challenge in 2014. President Obama came down and asked us to try and end chronic veterans homelessness in the city of Boston. We took that challenge. By the end of 2015, we had housed over 700 chronically homeless veterans. We ended chronic veterans homelessness. Since then, we've added more people who are chronically homeless. As of right now, the city of Boston, in the last 3 years, has housed over 1,100 people that were sleeping on the street the day that I got inaugurated as mayor of the city of Boston. They're in a home, they're in an apartment. We're going to continue to do that work as a partner, all of us, because we all care about it. We're also partnering with HERF, so that these elders will have the support they need. So not just are we going to put seniors in a building, we're actually going to wrap around services around them so that they don't fail, so they have opportunities to be successful. I'm just grateful today for our state partners and federal partners. People make a lot of talk about how there's a lot of animosity and division in this country with Democrats and Republicans, and there is. But in Massachusetts, we seem to know how to work it right. We work together, understanding when you have a common goal, and the common goal today is senior citizens, and quite honestly, our delegation, the common goal every day is about moving our city and our state forward. We work closely together and well together, because that's how we move it forward. We're going to continue to do that. It's an honor to be here today. Amy, I want to thank you. I'm sorry I am sneaking out because I'm on Jim and Marjorie. When it used to be in Brighton, it was easier, and now it's at the Boston Public Library. So I'm going to have a spy here to listen to Congressman Capuano talk about me. But I want to thank you all and have a great day.
So Congressman Capuano, I learned in the Globe this week that you like to be behind the scenes and help with little things for real people. And you know, we didn't need to read that in the Globe because every single time we've had any issue with any one of the constituents, you've been there. And Congressman Capuano's response isn't, well, I'll see, is, okay, I'll help. And he does. He's always delivered. So we knew that. But those of us in the affordable housing field know what you didn't say in the article, which is that you have been the person fighting year after year relentlessly and tirelessly for affordable housing in every single form. You fought for more money. You fought for fixing regulations that didn't make sense. You fought for services to help people in their housing. It's so well known that, in fact, sort of a bad thing for me, when I go to meetings with my colleagues in other states and we all talk about what we're going to do, and at the end they want you to rehearse, what are you going to say to your congressman? And they go around the room, and then I go and they say, well, my congressman's Mike Capuano. And I say, oh, then you have to listen to him because he can tell you more than you can tell him. So then I don't get a role. So sorry about that. But thank you for being here. We really appreciate everything you're doing for us.
I want to be real clear. Whoever's Marty's spy, listen up. I leaned over and whispered to him just before he got here, we're doing the senior stuff because you're getting older. And he came up and he stole my line. That's unbelievable. You can't trust any politicians nowadays. Obviously, as you heard from Marty, you know, Kevin and Mark and me and Marty, we get along great. We really do. And it's because, exactly as Marty said, we don't fight about the goals. We have differences sometimes about how to get from where we are to where we want to be, because it's not always easy. It is difficult. We have to make tough choices. But there's no fights about the basics. I wish I could say that in Washington. It's just the opposite. That's pretty much all we fight about. I want to be real clear. On these kinds of projects, it used to be, I really don't know. This project's been here as long as I can remember, so I don't know before. But I'm willing to bet that the first building built in this complex was probably built almost entirely with 1 or 2 federal grants. One. The federal government is the one who's made it harder, who's made it impossible to do that, which is crazy. It is nuts that everybody who cares about affordable housing has to go to 15 different funders to try to piece it together to do this, that, and the other, and another 15 different funders to provide the services once you have the building. It didn't used to be that way. It doesn't have to be that way. Unfortunately, it is. We're still having those fights. And let me be also clear about something else. Most of the money in all of these projects, I don't know about this one, I'm guessing just off the top of my head, 60 to 70% of the money is probably traceable directly to the federal government. Now I want to be clear, it's not just from the federal government. The federal government takes a lot of money and gives it to the state, and the state decides who gets it, and we do the same thing with the city government. It doesn't mean the state and the city don't have money into the game. They do. But let's be honest, if the federal government gets out of this business, instead of being able to do 10 projects a year, whatever it is we can do across the state, we'll be lucky to do 1. And the same thing in the city. They'd be lucky to do 1 in a year. And as you all know, here in Boston and Massachusetts, we don't argue about the desire to build more affordable housing, especially for our seniors. We want to do it. We just obviously have a hard time finding properties and getting it together. We don't argue about that. It will stop. It will stop dead in its tracks if the people running Washington today get their way. And if you don't believe me, I'm not asking any of you to do it, but I'm willing to bet several of you already have. Take a look at the federal budget that was just passed out of the House Budget Committee. HUD gets decimated. Decimated. And that's just the beginning. CDBG gets decimated. The low-income tax credit, which is a low-income tax credit from your federal taxes, gets decimated across the board. Why do you think there's nobody from HUD here today? The good civil servants, they're great people. They're not the problem. We have a president who hasn't even bothered to appoint a regional director. 6 months in. And it would be one thing if that was the only job, but that's true across the board. It's true in transportation, in the EPA, everywhere. The people actually have to make decisions have not been appointed. Those are the fights we're having. And it's not just housing. It is the environment. Anybody here want dirty air? Anybody want dirty water? That's easy. It's the same thing there. Immigration, you hear it every day. I'm guessing that most of the people who live in this building are immigrants. I don't know the percentage, but I'll bet you it's pretty high. Was it ever the hope or the plan that once we let immigrants in, that we pull the ladder up, nobody else? And be clear as I can make it. If you think it's just about 7 Muslim countries, you're wrong. You're being short-sighted. Or you have forgotten what it once was and could be again. My mother, Rita Garvey from Alston. You think the Irish were beloved? No, they weren't. Now they are, 150 years later. Think the Italians were welcomed? It is not new, it is an old story. And if you sit back and allow them to do it to a few people from a foreign country today, because they have problems in those countries, shame on you. Shame on me. Shame on our country if that's what we do. Individuals can be bad people. And guess what? I am half Irish and half Italian. There were some bad Italians. There were no bad Irishmen, okay? No bad Irishmen. There were bad people in every group. And to focus on that is offensive. So I'm here today to, again, congratulate the JCHE and Amy for doing another great job, breaking ground every week. And it's fantastic that you have people who are hungry and pushy to do that. You have to create new methods to do the projects that we all want. But you're all part of this national fight as well. And I just need to be very clear. I don't know what we can win. I don't know what we can stop. But I know if you just don't pay attention, or if you think it's not me, I'm not the target, I guarantee you'll be the target next. That's not what we do here in Massachusetts. It's not what we do in Boston. We welcome each other. Alston Brighton is a classic example. You're a myriad of this country. Everybody lives here. And we get along. Rich people, poor people. That's what we're fighting for. And that's what you're fighting for. That's why we're here today, to recognize one more step, a positive step, in the fight to make this country just a little bit better for a handful of people whom I, as a taxpayer and as an American, am proud to have my money used this way. And proud that most of my constituents feel the same way. Thank you for being supportive of the programs we do. Thank you for being here today. And particularly thank you for JCHE for doing this.
We are so lucky to have you, Mr. Capuano. And I see Alyssa and Oma and Rachel, so I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, for those of you who want a place to fight the good fight, July 31st behind City Hall is going to be a big rally to fight the federal budget cuts on housing. So all of you, we're bringing busloads. So Alice Bonner is the Secretary of Elder Affairs. This will be a quick introduction, because what can you say? She's just the most brilliant, the most caring, the most visionary Secretary of Elder Affairs ever in the history of the world. There's just no way to dispute that. She's had an incredibly distinguished career at both the federal and state level, promoting dignity, respect, quality of life for all older adults. And she has the passion and commitment to make all of those aspirations a reality for the people she's working for. She has a great academic resume and is also a force in the field. She has been working tirelessly to make Massachusetts the first state to be both age-friendly and dementia-friendly as a whole state. And her on-the-ground creativity and flexibility make Massachusetts the place for innovation and for advancing the field, and we are so honored to be her partner in those efforts.
So I'm also going to have to apologize because my day today was in Western Mass, so I'm headed to Cooley Dickinson Hospital in Westfield very shortly, but I absolutely had to rearrange my morning to be here for this event today. It is just so unbelievable what JCHE and all of you, all of our partners have been able to accomplish, and this is probably my third or so event, although this was the first time I got to use the shovel and the hat, and that's pretty exciting, it's pretty cool. But I would say that the work that we've been doing has really not been about bricks and mortar, even though today seems like, when you're there with the hard hat, that it's about bricks and mortar. This organization is about the heart and soul of communities and how we can build housing and, as was already said, wrap services around so that we can meet the vision that we have in Elder Affairs and Emily and her team has and all of us have, which is that older people and people with disabilities will have access to the resources that they need to live well and thrive in every single community. That they are aging, all of us are aging with purpose in dynamic communities. And when we were here with the governor a few months ago, actually it's more than a few months ago, we spent the day with seniors. We were serving meals and watching Chinese dancers and all sorts of wonderful programming here. And I think the governor was really struck with the opportunity that we have to create these kinds of environments. And again, it's about a beautiful facility initially, but it's really about the programs and the services and people being able to stay where they want to be, where they, the place that they call home for as long as they possibly can. And what can we do? So again, I would say, we can't recognize Amy enough for her vision in this role that she plays in the Commonwealth, because when we look at places like this, people at the state think, how can we bring this model to other parts of the state? Again, going out to Northampton, going to Franklin County, going to the Berkshires, it's a very different environment. It's very rural. There's different types of challenges and there's different types of housing. But Amy and the team and JCHE are proving that we can get past the complexities, the bureaucracy, and we can figure out ways to get this done. And that is what is so special about this organization. So, on behalf of Governor Baker and Secretary Mary Lou Sutters, we are engaged right now in a new endeavor, which is the governor has established a council to address aging in Massachusetts. We have 2 more listening sessions left. We're going to be down the Cape, and then we're going to be out back in the Berkshires again. And at the first 2 listening sessions, we have heard over and over and over about the need for affordable, accessible housing and the need for volunteer opportunities and employment opportunities and the opportunities for music and dance and art and literature and the things that enrich our lives as all of us are getting older. So this is the model. This is a model, but this is really a tremendous way that we can think about how we look across the Commonwealth and can hopefully scale some of the wonderful work and wonderful partnerships here. So I really, really appreciate being here with all of you today. I know it's going to be a wonderful rest of the event and rest of the day. And just to reiterate, we should all be there at that demonstration with Congressman Capuano and everyone else so that we have the funds that we need as a state to be able to do these great things. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Alex. Everyone knows Kevin Honan, so he almost doesn't need an introduction, but I'm going to do one because I want to. He's the chairman in the Housing Committee, and he has been for a long time. He's the force. Not a force, he's the force in the state legislature for all good things about affordable housing. There isn't a single piece of good legislation that promotes what we do that he isn't the lead sponsor or a co-sponsor, but usually the lead sponsor. And every time that those bond funds start to trickle out and Kate sounds the alarm bell, he gets a bond bill passed to make sure that we have the FCF and HG and HSF and HIF and the state low-income housing tax credit and all the different alphabet soup of funds that we need. Although you're right, the federal government is absolutely the centerpiece. Being in Brighton, his home turf, we get a lot of attention and we get a lot of constituent service as well on the little issues, on the big issues. And I kind of wish, because of that, we could claim special status, but I know for a fact that he's a best friend to all community-based affordable housing developers, so we don't get to claim special status. But he's got a giant heart. He's got room for us all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Amy. It's a tremendous privilege and honor for me to be here. And Amy truly is a very passionate, extraordinary leader here. So we're very fortunate to have you here, Amy. And we also know one of your predecessors, Ellen Feingold, is here somewhere. Hi, Ellen. 31 years ago, when I was first elected, this was my district, Ward 21, Precinct 13, and as you know, we go through redistricting on occasion. So I lost the precinct in redistricting, but I've never lost my contact here. We've always, through political campaigns with Mayor Walsh and with Mayor Flynn and with Mayor Menino, always maintained such a great relationship with the residents here. And truly, we want to recognize the extraordinary residents, and Knock is here. Knock is 96 years old. And Knock, wonderful man, and all of Knock's friends and neighbors in the building. This is a building of residents who really care about politics, national and local, so we thank all of the residents who welcome the politicians in here all the time, and I understand Mike Capuano may be welcomed here as a resident soon. No, you know, thank you. We absolutely love Congressman Capuano. He is such a champion of the working men and women of our Commonwealth and our country. You heard him today. We, Mark Cioma and myself, have the privilege of hearing him so often. He's just a giant in Washington, and we thank you for everything you do for our neighborhood. We also, I mean that sincerely. You know we love you. And with Mayor Walsh, he has made housing, affordable housing, such a priority in our city. And communities don't always welcome housing. I'm all around the state, and there's resistance in certain communities. Even though there's an acknowledged need for more affordable housing to be built, we sometimes encounter some resistance. Mayor Walsh stands up. He knows for the future of our Commonwealth, for our city, we need housing for all people. So I thank the mayor for his leadership. And as you know, I think there's $3 million in state funds here, $4 million in equity from the low-income housing tax credits. And many people have been mentioned who have done such extraordinary work here. And I would like to add a few names. Speaker DeLeo and Senate President Stan Rosenberg have always been supportive. Governor Baker and Crystal Cornegay. I always enjoy so much working with Kate Racer at the state level. She does such extraordinary work. She's a real champion. I consider her to be like a Tom Brady, handing off to running backs and passing. So thank Kate. I also have been listening to stories about immigrants and people who've come here and made this city a better place and this state a better place. And I am really intrigued here and grateful that the buildings up here all have names of distinguished families. And now you have Harry and Jeanette Weinberg. And during the Depression, Harry and his brother William bought housing. During the Depression, when everyone was losing everything, fixed up the housing and sold it for a profit, and then got into transportation, bought a lot of property, in Baltimore and in Hawaii, a great investment in the 40s and 50s. Who would have thought going to Hawaii and buying it up? But anyway, they've created quite a foundation, so we thank their family for all the work in their foundation. Their name will be on a building here, and we'll always remember Harry and Jeanette Weinberg for their contribution. JCHE, the Brighton campus here, is a special place. Our seniors access safe and affordable housing. I always think about the weather in Boston and the Northeast and how icy and snowy, but here with these long hallways, you see how people can go out of their apartment, walk these long hallways, stay healthy, the extraordinary amount of social services and programming that is provided here at JCHE, it extends people's lives. And I know the table tennis, whenever I come in here, and I'm pretty good at that. I learned at the West End House Boys and Girls Club, so I will challenge people to table tennis. Anyway, I am honored and privileged to be here. This is an extraordinary campus, extraordinary program. We're just so excited about the new units. We thank all the partners who are involved here, and we look forward to working with you in the future. Amy, again, thank you for everything.
Thank you. I'm told my introductions are going too long, so I'm going to try to tighten up. Mark Ciolo is our city councilor. The mayor may have talked about him as chairman of Ways and Means and all the stuff he does for the city, but he's our city councilor. He's our local guy, and he's never failed to be there for us and everything that matters. And local government really matters in people's lives. The streets don't get cleaned and the sidewalks aren't free of ice. That is what makes a difference on a day-to-day basis. And we have found Councilor Ciolo every time we call. He jumps fast and furious, and we are so appreciative. He's hugely constituent focused, but he is also, as we heard from the mayor, keeping the big picture at all time about always being a supporter of affordable housing. He's here a lot, and every time we're grateful to have him, including today.
Thank you, Amy. And, I think part of the reason Amy's so excited today is because for the past 2 years since this project got approved, every time I see her, when are we breaking ground? When are we breaking ground? So it's really, really exciting for me to be here today at this groundbreaking. And geez, almost 25 years ago, before I got elected to the city council, I was the director at the senior center right down the road here. So I've been a partner with JCHE for many years, and I just have to say not only the great housing that they provide, but they set the gold standard for servicing elderly as well, the other services that they provide. So I want to thank Amy, the board, and the residents who are all advocates for elderly housing in our neighborhood. You know, I've driven by this site many times over the years, and I was commenting with Congressman Capuano. I used to go to parties there when I was a much younger man. And, you know, it's been a blighted, vacant, underutilized building now for almost 25 years, I think. And I was so happy when there was interest in the building and the RFP went out, and I couldn't have been more thrilled when JCHE won the bid. And I was supportive of that bid, and I'm so glad that we're here today to celebrate that. And again, Congressman Capuano said it earlier, we're all friends. He's a friend, a fierce advocate, and I want to thank you for all that you do for our constituents in the Allston-Brighton community. Kevin Honan, again, a dear friend, a partner, someone that I turn to on a daily basis, literally, to serve our constituents in Allston-Brighton. So I want to thank Representative Honan, Mayor Marty Walsh. I'm going to have a confession. I wasn't with Marty Walsh when he ran for mayor, but I'm a big, big supporter now, and I agree with Amy. He is the best mayor in the country right now. And finally, you know, I have a background with the elderly, and we're known as kind of a college town, but we also have one of the higher percentages of elderly. And these 61 units, again, a city, a society is measured on how they treat their most vulnerable. And the fact that we're doing homeless, critically homeless housing and severely disabled housing is critically important for us to continue to do, and we need to do more. So thank you again for giving me this opportunity to say a few words, and thank you all for coming out today.
Thank you, Councilor. Next, we're going to hear from Jeremiah Montgomery Thompson, who is Senator Elizabeth Warren's regional director. Now, you have not been paying attention to anything if you don't already know that Senator Warren is a tireless advocate for all of us, for older adults, working adults, retired adults, unemployed adults, young adults, children, everyone else. And as a member of the Senate Committee on Aging, I'm sure you know that she's protecting our Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. You might not know that she's also taken up a new cause. In the last committee hearing, she became a strong advocate for restoring the new construction funds to the 202 program, which is exactly what Congressman Capuano was talking about. And of course, I have to mention that on the floor, she mentioned JCHE as a best practice in her state, which made us very, very exciting. We love all the ways she's been fighting the good fight, articulating the right issues, and caring so deeply about social justice. Jeremiah?
Thank you so much, Amy, and thank you, everyone, for having me here today. The senator really wishes she could be here today in person. She is still down in D.C. this morning. But just want to thank everyone at the Jewish Community Housing for the Elderly for all the hard work that you do and have done for years. Want to mention, of course, Mayor Walsh, such a fantastic partner for us. Well, she did. Can you hear me? All right, we're all right. The mayor's been just so amazing on housing issues, and it's so great to have a partner like that in the city here. Of course, Congressman Capuano summed it up nicely when he talked about the role of the federal government here in making projects like this happen. And the fight that Elizabeth is focusing on every day down in Washington to try to make sure that these funds don't disappear and that we keep securing money for things like this that matter. Rep. Honan, Councilor Siomo, it's just so, these projects are really about partnerships, and as much work as the senator can do advocating for funding, it's the partnerships here at the state and city level and with groups like JCHE, that's where the work is really happening. So I just want to thank all of you. Amy mentioned that the senator is a member of the Committee on Aging, and she's really proud to be a part of that committee. She started on that committee because she wanted to continue her work on consumer issues, and as fraud and consumer-based issues hit elderly folks especially hard. Through that, she's been able to advocate, like you mentioned, for Medicare, for Social Security, but housing is a huge, huge component of that, and making sure that there's quality, affordable housing is a major, major piece in making sure that all Americans are able to age, with dignity and as comfortably as possible. So I just want to thank JCHE for all the hard work that you've done, and we've mentioned you, in our speeches on the floor. You're very close to the senator's heart. And we really look forward to working with you and everyone else here for years to come. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Susan Terry is the Associate Director of DHCD. DHCD is an amazing agency. When people ask me what has my career been, the first thing I say is I used to work at DHCD because I consider that an amazing badge of honor. And they've helped us so many ways. I confess I just met Sue today, but already I can tell you for sure the word gracious is the absolute best word to describe her. Intelligent, supportive, but really, really gracious, and we appreciate that. DHCD is putting capital and the vouchers into the state, and so many different parts of DHCD have participated that I think it's really important to have someone in her position being addressed us who works on all this. And I'm remiss if I didn't mention, and I'll get in trouble later, But there's another person at JCHE who eschews public recognition and never likes the spotlight. But Kevin mentioned her, so now you're going to get in trouble, not me. Really, there's not a single supporter of affordable housing in the state that doesn't recognize Kate Racer as the housing hero of the century. And so we thank her. We thank Crystal for her amazing leadership, and I'm so pleased that I finally got to meet you, and I'm so impressed with what you've been able to do so far, so thank you.
Good morning. It's such an honor to be here representing not only the Department of Housing and Community Development and Undersecretary Cornegay, but also the Baker-Polito administration. The administration's priorities include making sure that there is affordable, quality housing across the Commonwealth for all of our residents. But here, DHCD is incredibly and especially proud to have been able to partner with Amy and her team to make this project that focuses on our senior, that makes sure that seniors have a place where they can age with dignity, purpose, and comfort. And this isn't just a project where we've been able to pull together partners across state government. It's a project that has pulled together partners across state government to create a model, to create something that's going to be the envy of other states, to create something that people can follow its path. And this is a project that didn't happen without the support of all the people in this room. We heard from Mayor Walsh and the city's commitment. We heard from Congressman Capuano and his work and the entire federal delegation's commitment to the low-income housing tax credit, the tool that makes affordable housing development possible across the state. The commitment of our legislator and Chairman Honan to make sure that we keep building and we keep making sure that we take care of all of our citizens. And it's a commitment across government agencies. DHCD was able to work not only with our own amazing Tom Brady, Kate Racer, and her team, but also with Department of Developmental Services. We worked with Elder Affairs. This is really a project where everyone came together. Amy said it takes a village, and this does take a village. This is a village. It was created by a village, and we're so incredibly proud at DHCD and the administration to have had a part in it. Congratulations, and it's beautiful.
The next one's kind of a twofer because I get to introduce Judy Jacobson and have her represent MHP. Everyone knows MHP has this amazing reputation as being delightful to work with, that they're so consumer focused that anytime you want to work with them, they're there for you. And we have found that to be absolutely true. Negotiating anything about this permanent mortgage has been a pleasure. And then there's Judy. And Judy is an independent agent, is the person we call when we need advice. And in fact, recently we called her because we were just puzzled about how to handle something, and everyone said, oh, let's call Judy Jacobson, because she's always really good at working through and solving the problems. So I'm really pleased to have Judy represent both MHP and herself.
Well, congratulations to JCHE, Mayor Walsh, and the City of Boston. All of us at MHP are very excited to be providing a 40-year, $2.2 million loan to help make the Weinberg House a reality. Because the bustling campus here, with housing as the foundation, but offering so much more, is a testament to the fact that Boston is a city that knows how to treat seniors well. All too often, seniors are isolated. But not here, not in Boston, where you so enthusiastically embrace aging in community. At MHP, with the strong support of Undersecretary Cornegay and the Baker administration, we do our best to encourage communities across the state to emulate Boston's commitment to housing diversity and housing choice. Because as fabulous as Amy and her team, and Sheila and her team are, Boston can't do it alone. We need all communities in the Commonwealth to be part of the housing solution. We salute State Representative, housing champion Kevin Honan, for his efforts to pass legislation to make this a reality. And a big thank you to Congressman Capuano and Senator Warren for their tireless efforts to make sure that the federal government is a partner. We are using HUD and U.S. Treasury resources for the Weinberg House, so please, please, don't let up. To date, MHP has provided almost $340 million to support over 7,000 apartment homes in the city of Boston. We look forward to adding the Weinberg House and many more JCHE and City of Boston homes to the mix. I want to recognize the hard work of the entire MHP team on the project, especially my colleagues David Rockwell and David Hannafin, and offer our congratulations to everyone.
Roger Herzog leads CDAC, a fellow Dusper with me from our old graduate school days. Everyone turns to CDAC before the project's really a project, when it's in formulation and you're not sure it can make it, and they are there to get you to the point where it is, and you can engage with all these other agencies, and we really appreciate it. In this case, they're also playing the role of helping coordinate with the DDS services and supports and design, and that has been really extremely valuable to us as we try and make all of our partners happy. CDAC's just been there every step of the way. I'm really proud to introduce Roger Herzog.
Good morning, and congratulations and mazel tov to JCHE and to the board and the staff. And it's great to see so many board members here for the great efforts to bring the project, this long-standing effort, to the point of getting into construction. How satisfying, as Amy has let us know. JCHE is the premier nonprofit elderly housing developer and service provider. Amy and team set the standard for thoughtful physical and program design to meet the needs of elders and allow for aging in community. Is that copyrighted, Amy? I mean, in terms of the design, I hope everyone is looking at these pictures of what this is going to look like. How cool is that bridge that will connect the new building to the existing buildings and allow the new residents to take advantage of the services? Brilliant. CDAC was fortunate enough to work with JCHE several years ago on their development of Shillman House in Framingham, a very bold venture for the organization to move out to Metro West. And we are honored to partner with JCHE on this new project in Boston. As has been noted, our role was to manage $1 million of the state's capital investment through two important supportive housing programs: Facilities Consolidation Fund, that will provide capital to support these 5 units that you've heard about that will serve developmentally disabled individuals with services provided by Jewish Family and Children's Services, and the Housing Innovations Fund, which supports deeply affordable, highly targeted to the lowest income individuals in the project. And I would be remiss if I didn't note that these programs come about because of the support of the legislature and Chairman Homan, who will be sitting next Tuesday in a public hearing on the latest housing bond bill. It is time to recapitalize these important programs, and we thank you for your continued support that allows projects like this to move forward. The state and the Baker-Polito administration has been taking supportive housing very seriously. They've got an interagency effort that involves 25 odd agencies trying to work together to coordinate all the complexities of it. Last year alone, the state awarded funding to 47 supportive housing projects, creating just under 500 units. This is one of them. This is going to be the best one, and we're so thrilled to be part of it, and good luck during the construction process. Thank you.
So Jennifer Crampton is here representing Wells Fargo Bank, and I don't know if there's such a thing as a threefer, but this is a threefer because they're purchasing the state tax credits, the federal tax credits, and they're providing our construction loan, which is greatly simplifying that whole phase of the financing. This is our 3rd deal with Wells Fargo, which tells you a great deal about how we feel. Jennifer?
Good morning. As Amy said, Wells Fargo has the privilege here to be the equity investor in the federal and state credits, as well as for our debt partners to provide the construction loan facility. Thank you to JCHE for selecting Wells to be involved in this important work. We are honored to contribute toward the creation of this innovative project, and we always appreciate and enjoy the opportunity to work with your team of consummate development professionals. Thank you to DHCD, the City of Boston, Mayor Walsh, HUD, MHP, and the many funding sources involved for all the resources that have been devoted to this project. Thank you to the Weinberg Foundation for the generous grant to allow the project to serve a wider range of seniors and provide even more services to enhance the quality of life for the residents for many years to come. We look forward to seeing even more happy seniors socializing, shopping, exercising, and moving around the campus for their daily activities. Once again, thank you.
And Karen Kelleher has been working really hard with Tim Sullivan, her partner at Mass Housing, to enhance the already excellent reputation of Mass Housing. Really expanding their reach beyond simply lending money or administering funds, in this case the HT is in the deal, but to becoming a leader in the field and helping all of us as partners become leaders in the field. Mass Housing has long supported the services and housing through the TAP, but recently is upped it a notch, convening meetings and task forces to say, let's not just talk about bringing other partners into service, let's get it on the ground, let's make it work. And we really appreciate the leadership they've shown, that we love the partnership. And I know she's not involved in this deal, but I just have to mention Deb Morris because she's such an incredible superstar at Mass Housing. And Karen Kelleher is
Thank you, Amy. Good news, I'm the last speaker. And on behalf of everyone, Jennifer, I want to thank you for being a threefer instead of three separate people. I will be brief, and I promise not to repeat all of it, but I just echo everything everyone said about all the good work and the partners here. It is such a privilege to be a part of the team, and it takes a huge team to bring together a closing like this, as you can tell by the number of people represented, if nothing else. I love the image. Thank you so much, Chairman Honan, of Kate as the quarterback. Love that. But I actually would like to pivot and use a quote that Amy shared with me and said it's her favorite quote from Dr. Bill Thomas, who's one of her heroes, that aging is a team sport. And that's why it is such a privilege to be a partner of JCHE on this project, because the model that JCHE not only adheres to in all of its work, but tries to advance at the state level, at the national level, and educates all of us, and all that. Many of you in the room are like me and like Tim Sullivan, and that Amy and Elizabeth Heyer were some of the first people to start trying to educate us about how to better serve our seniors. So we're grateful for the opportunity to partner with you, Amy. It's a pleasure to be your water girl. Thank you very much, and congratulations.
So, we're done. Our chef has prepared amazing homemade pastries for everybody, and there's beverages. But can we just close with a giant together of woohoo? 1,